KSV. Despite being second now, they are not yet guaranteed to go top 4. But we're going to be starting with SPT versus Dignitas, and then third will be CE versus Fnatic, and finally BTG versus KSV.
A lot of abbreviations there, and the big deal here is that there are 2 series of China taking on Europe, and we're starting off with SPT versus Team Dignitas. SPT has, as of yet, not been able to take games off of other region teams, unlike CE, their counterparts from the Chinese region. SPT has been able to get wins off of both of the other Chinese teams, though, but all that's left for them, I believe, as you said, was both of the European teams, which is a rough time to end things.
Very much so. Here are the 5 lads, Gilly, of SPT, and in order for them to advance, 3 things need to happen. They need to 2-0 Fnatic, 2-0 Dignitas here. Fnatic is tomorrow, so a 4-0 versus Europe. And SPT also requires the aid of CE to beat Fnatic as well. Only then will SPT be able to advance if all the other results are fairly average. This puts SPT at about 5% chance to advance to top 4. It'll be very difficult, and this is where it starts. Can they do a 2-0 upset against Dignitas?
Team Dignitas, arguably one of the most improved teams throughout this group stage, coming together with 2 new members, but 1 former with Wubby, and then Poik, getting Poik to be really just not nervous anymore, not at all for this stage. We'll see how he handles the next stage, where there will be an audience eventually in a different location. But the synergy of this team is just every single day getting better and better.
Yeah, and Poik, like you said, he really got over those day 1 and 2 nerves where he played Tracer and had a bit of a tougher time. We've seen him on a variety of heroes now, from Li Ming to Chromie to Gul'dan to Tracer. So a mage player with an excellent play in auto attackers as well. Here are the maps. It's going to be Infernal Shrines, picked by Dignitas. And the 2 maps that are banned are Tomb of the Spider Queen by SPT and Warhead Junction by Dignitas.
SPT, although they love Dragonshire, also have in the past been fans of Infernal Shrines. It is another choice of theirs, and often when Dragon was banned versus them, they would go here. So this is not a completely uncomfortable place at all for SPT. It's also a place where they could potentially try to bring in more of a global style of strategy that we've seen them employ versus other various teams, although it does seem like that was more garnered toward other Chinese teams. So we'll have to see how they want to draft and play versus Team Dignitas here.
Very smart first ban by SPT. If SPT has done their homework of the past few matches of Dignitas in this group stage so far, you can see that the tendencies for Dignitas have been towards denying Tassadar Tracer, picking Li Ming, picking Abathur, and picking Genji. Removing Genji early on removes the Genji Abathur threat as well as the Genji threat itself.
Rehgar is a first choice for SPT and has been a first choice for a lot of teams here at the Gold Club World Championship. This does still leave up Greymane as a possibility for Team Dignitas, especially as a hero that gives a lot of damage to both team fights and, of course, for the Shrine clear. Greymane will be paired with ETC for Team Dignitas in their first 2 picks.
Yeah, nice to get that ETC early yesterday in the 3rd match of the day, the 4th match of the day. There was a whole draft that went without ETC being looked at on Dragonshire. And even though ETC can feel squishy if you misuse his Power Slide, if you hold on to Power Slide and Mosh Pit and just maneuver, take damage and do some calculated face melts, he can be absolutely devastating in splitting the enemy team. One of the top warriors right now. And SPT will be having to look at other ones. Now, Dignitas has had one more tendency. They seem to perform better with a single support. They like Lucio, they like Kharazim. They seem most deadly when they have triple assassin. If that were to be true, SPT would be well off picking something like a Nubarak who can punish solo support by cocooning him. And I also like that they're taking Lucio, one of the favorite supports here for Dignitas, as well as taking Arthas, who happens to counter Kharazim, one of the next favorites.
Counters Kharazim, also taken as a counter versus Greymane. Makes his life a little trickier to try to dive into a fight. Not really giving away too much about where they want their damage dealers to go, but this has been a common trend for a lot of teams to pick up Arthas versus that Greymane, and it's also been more and more a choice for SPT as Misaka's hero, although it could flex over potentially to Soap too. Just depends how they want to play that out, but will not help out as much with trying to deny a mosh pit, but Lucio can try to make sure that he's in a good position to knock him out with a sound wave.
Yeah, exactly. Lucio's position is very important anyway, as Sound Barrier has that wind up. Generally, you want to cast it when you're out of position, then move in, cast the Sound Barrier. I mean, in the process of casting it, and then having it come down. Lucio's positioning is such an interesting part of his kit that must be well guarded, now even more so with ETC. Vala is going to get banned by Dignitas, and SPT will be removing Sonya.
I really enjoy that Vala ban, not only because Dignitas already have Greymane, and this is denying one of the other sustained damage dealers that is a possibility, one of the other common ones, but because Vala has Rain of Vengeance at 10 as another possible Mosh interrupt, SPT already needs someone in that role, so being able to deny a double threat type of thing from one hero is always a nice win there for Dignitas.
Yeah, right. And you know, the Chinese teams also favor Cassia in this role, but without Valkyrie doesn't have as easy of an interrupt on ETC, and even Valkyrie isn't as reliable as Rain of Vengeance.
Yes.
So if it's between those two, that's a smart anti-ETC ban.
2 more picks now for Team Dignitas.
Abathur seems pretty likely. You have Lucio, who doesn't have that much wave clear. You've got Greymane pairing. Dignitas likes Abathur. They're going to pick up that Kharazim. And Leoric. Abathur is still possible in that final slot. In fact, it's looking like an Abathur draft entirely, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of different hat targets there as a way of getting Symbiote in the way or in range to do damage. SPT now in their last 2 picks still need some sort of range carry damage dealer, and then either another range if they want to flex that way, or another frontliner, some sort of melee.
And SPT needs to keep in mind, what if it is Abathur? How do they control the map? Abathur Greymane split push is devastating.
Could be Soap's Dahaka.
You want to have something that counters Leoric as well. Tychus would fit this role fairly well. And Dahaka, this is a great choice too. That's true.
It's tricky for SPT. You know they're thinking about that Mosh. Ragnaros will be able to stall out the game and give extra defense.
Ooh.
And then Lunara.
I think that's the first Lunara of the tournament.
I think so too. Very interesting. Lunara used to be one of the mainstay ranged carry damage dealers, but has fallen off quite a lot recently, especially with the changes to Ariel.
And due to lack of burst as well. And yeah, like you said, those changes to Ariel. Lunara will have a tough matchup into Kharazim for 2 reasons. Divine Palm is childishly easy to proc off of the poison. And the fact that he has a very easy gap closer and auto attack damage really punishes Lunara. She will need really good peel from Lucio and Rhaegar. Dignitas, will they go with the Abathur route? SPT has pretty good map control. It's going to be, in fact, the Stukov. Secondary support will help with that Lunara splash damage.
Yeah. That's the one of the few times that you would see Lunara come in is versus solo supports. There is area healing from Kharazim, but even still trying to make sure that they can keep up with the damage that Lunara will be putting out. Not sure if this will be a leaping strike to make sure that Lunara can get into better positioning, if we're going to see just the constant application of the poisons using Thornwood Vine as maybe a way to push off Team Dignitas. It's an interesting concept, a different draft definitely that we've seen at this event from SPT. Let's see how they do with it.
Leaping Strike, like you said, might have more merit as well against Entomb from Leoric, which is always an option. We'll have to wait and see how they're going to play that. Keep in mind, guys, Dignitas right now is at 6 points. It places them at shared